Tensions are peaking in Israel's cabinet as the nation faces one of its most critical decisions in recent history. The atmosphere is electric, with every minister acutely aware that the choices made today could alter the course of the region for years to come. The weight of history hangs in the air, and the sense of responsibility is palpable. Every glance exchanged between ministers, every whispered conversation in the corridors, is charged with the knowledge that the fate of thousands, perhaps millions, rests on what happens next. Inside closed-door sessions, ministers are locked in heated debate over a plan that's been months in the making. The stakes are sky-high, and every word, every gesture, is being scrutinized by both allies and adversaries. The discussions are intense, with some ministers raising their voices in frustration, while others plead for calm and reason. The room is filled with the sound of papers shuffling, pens tapping, and the occasional outburst as the gravity of the decision becomes clear. This plan, if enacted, could fundamentally reshape the Gaza conflict, shifting the balance of power and potentially opening the door to a new era of diplomacy or renewed violence. Military strategists and political analysts alike are poring over the details, weighing the risks and rewards. The possibility of a new chapter in the region's history is tantalizing, but so too is the fear that a single misstep could plunge the area back into chaos. After months of painstaking negotiations and repeated setbacks, Israeli ministers have finally reached a breakthrough, one that many thought was impossible just weeks ago. The announcement comes after countless late-night meetings, shuttle diplomacy, and moments when the entire process seemed on the verge of collapse. Yet, against all odds, a consensus has emerged, and the world is now watching to see if this fragile agreement can hold. The result? A landmark ceasefire deal with Hamas, brokered by the United States and supported by a coalition of international mediators. This agreement is being hailed as a potential turning point in a conflict that has dragged on for years. The sight of Israeli and Hamas representatives shaking hands, even if only for the cameras, is a powerful symbol of what could be possible when diplomacy triumphs over violence. International mediators, including diplomats from Europe, the Middle East, and the United Nations, have played a crucial role in bridging the gap between the two sides. The agreement promises an immediate halt to fighting, if, and only if, Israel's cabinet gives its final approval within the next 24 hours. The clock is ticking, and the world is watching every move. News outlets across the globe are running live updates, and social media is abuzz with speculation and hope. The sense of urgency is overwhelming, as every minute brings the region closer to either peace or renewed conflict. Here's the big headline. This deal isn't just about stopping the violence, it's about people, families, and the hope for a future without fear. For many, this agreement represents a glimmer of hope in a landscape that has been dominated by despair for far too long. It's a chance to break the cycle of violence and begin the long process of healing. Under the terms of the agreement, Hamas will release 20 living Israeli hostages, men, women, and even children, who have been held in captivity for months, separated from their loved ones and the world. The images of hostages reuniting with their families are expected to be broadcast around the world, serving as a powerful reminder of what's at stake. For the families, these moments are nothing short of miraculous, a return from the brink of despair. In addition, Hamas will return the remains of 28 more individuals, including 4 non-Israelis, bringing a measure of closure to families who have endured unimaginable loss and uncertainty. These ceremonies, though somber, are a vital part of the healing process, allowing families to finally say goodbye and begin to move forward. The return of these remains is a gesture of goodwill, but also a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. In exchange, Israel has agreed to release hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, some of whom have spent decades behind bars, serving life sentences. For many Palestinian families, this is a long-awaited moment of relief and reunion. The scenes of prisoners walking free, embraced by their loved ones, are expected to spark celebrations in the West Bank and Gaza. For these families, the release is not just a political gesture, but a deeply personal victory after years of waiting and hoping. The deal also includes a crucial humanitarian component. Israel will allow vital aid, food, water, and medical supplies into Gaza, where civilians have been suffering under siege conditions for far too long. For the people of Gaza, this aid could mean the difference between life and death. Hospitals are running out of supplies, children are malnourished, and entire communities are on the brink of collapse. The arrival of aid convoys will be a lifeline for thousands, offering hope where there was once only despair. Humanitarian organizations have been preparing for weeks, coordinating with both Israeli and Palestinian authorities to ensure that aid reaches those who need it most. The logistics are daunting, with checkpoints, security concerns, and the ever-present risk of renewed violence. Yet, the determination of aid workers and volunteers is unwavering. Their efforts are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Behind the scenes, this agreement is just the first phase of a much larger US-led initiative aimed at ending the 2-year conflict that has devastated countless lives. The United States, leveraging its influence and diplomatic clout, has brought together a diverse coalition of nations, each with its own interests and concerns. The road to peace is long and fraught with obstacles, but this agreement marks a significant first step. Diplomats from around the world have been working tirelessly, often late into the night, to bring both sides to the table and hammer out the details of this fragile peace. The negotiations have been marked by moments of high drama, with last-minute phone calls, unexpected setbacks, and breakthroughs that seem to come out of nowhere. The dedication of these diplomats, many of whom have spent years working on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, is a testament to the importance of this moment. The plan is ambitious, to lay the groundwork for a lasting peace, not just a temporary pause in hostilities. It's a bold vision, but one that many believe is finally within reach. The hope is that this ceasefire will serve as a foundation for future negotiations, addressing the root causes of the conflict and paving the way for a comprehensive settlement. Civil society groups, peace activists, and ordinary citizens on both sides are cautiously optimistic. Many have spent years advocating for dialogue and reconciliation, often at great personal risk. Their voices, once drowned out by the sounds of war, are now being heard in the corridors of power. The possibility of a new era, one defined by cooperation rather than conflict, feels closer than ever before. The human cost of this conflict has been staggering. Over 67,000 lives have been lost in Gaza alone, with entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble and hospitals overwhelmed by the wounded. The scars of war are everywhere, on the faces of children, in the shattered buildings, and in the hearts of those who've lost everything. The scale of the devastation is almost unimaginable, and the road to recovery will be long and difficult. On the Israeli side, families have been left desperate for answers, holding vigils, and clinging to hope as they await news of their loved ones. The pain and uncertainty have touched every corner of society. Communities have come together in solidarity, lighting candles, sharing stories, and supporting one another through the darkest of times. The longing for closure and the hope for peace are universal, transcending political and religious divides. Despite the suffering, there are glimmers of hope. In some communities, Israelis and Palestinians are reaching out to one another, building bridges of understanding and friendship. These small acts of kindness and solidarity are a reminder that peace is possible, even in the midst of conflict. The next generation is watching, learning, and dreaming of a future where they can live side by side in safety and dignity. President Donald Trump's direct involvement in the negotiations, along with support from key regional players like Qatar and Egypt, underscores just how high the stakes are. The eyes of the world are on these leaders, hoping they can deliver on their promises. Trump's administration has invested significant political capital in this process, and the outcome will have far-reaching implications for U.S. foreign policy and the broader Middle East. The diplomatic pressure is immense, with every side pushing for their interests while trying to avoid a collapse of the fragile agreement. The coming hours will test the resolve and leadership of everyone involved. Behind closed doors, negotiators are working around the clock, making last-minute adjustments and seeking assurances from all parties. The sense of urgency is matched only by the determination to seize this historic opportunity. The world's media is camped outside government buildings, broadcasting every development to a global audience. Analysts and commentators are debating the merits and risks of the deal, while ordinary people share their hopes and fears on social media. The sense of anticipation is palpable, as everyone waits to see what will happen next. But not everyone in Israel is on board with the deal. The country is deeply divided, and the political fallout could be severe. Far-right groups have taken to the streets, staging protests, and demanding that the government reject the agreement. Their anger is fueled by fears that the deal will embolden Hamas and undermine Israel's security. The debate is fierce, with passionate arguments on both sides. Far-right ministers are threatening to bring down Prime Minister Netanyahu's government, arguing that the deal is too generous to Hamas and puts Israeli security at risk. The political drama is unfolding in real time, with the future of the government hanging in the balance. Netanyahu, a seasoned political survivor, is facing one of the greatest challenges of his career. His ability to navigate this crisis will determine not only his own fate, but the future of the entire country. Critics call the agreement an unbearable price, warning that it could set a dangerous precedent for future negotiations. Supporters, however, insist that peace and the return of hostages are worth every concession. The debate has spilled over into the streets, with rallies, counter-protests, and heated exchanges on talk shows and social media. The nation is at a crossroads, and the decisions made in the coming hours will shape its destiny for years to come. Despite fierce opposition, the cabinet is widely expected to approve the deal, recognizing the overwhelming public pressure and the urgent need for a resolution. The vote itself is expected to be tense, with every minister weighing the political risks against the moral imperative to act. The outcome will be watched not only in Israel and Gaza, but around the world. As families of hostages in Israel and civilians in Gaza hold their breath, the world is united in anticipation. The outcome of this vote could change countless lives overnight. For some, it will mean the end of a nightmare. For others, the beginning of a new chapter filled with uncertainty and hope. The sense of shared humanity is stronger than ever, as people on both sides yearn for peace and security. The world now waits. Will this ceasefire finally hold, or will old wounds and deep mistrust derail the fragile peace before it even begins? The coming days will be critical, as both sides test the limits of the agreement, and the international community works to support its implementation. The stakes could not be higher, and the consequences of failure would be devastating. Around the globe, people are showing their support for peace. Rallies and vigils are being held in major cities, with participants calling for an end to the violence and a new beginning for the region. Landmarks are being lit up in the colors of the Israeli and Palestinian flags, symbolizing hope and unity. The message is clear. The world is watching, and the desire for peace is universal. What do you think? Is this the breakthrough the region has been waiting for, or just another fleeting moment of hope? Drop your thoughts below, and let your voice be heard in this global conversation. Your perspective matters, and together, we can help shape the future of this historic moment. And don't forget to subscribe for updates as this historic story continues to unfold. We'll be following every development, bringing you the latest news, analysis, and insights as the world watches to see if peace can finally take root in this troubled land.